Mediocre cover band guitar guy, how we all doing? Just packing up some gear here this evening. I got a sit-in gig this weekend and just trying to figure out what I'm going to take. Still got a couple songs I'm working on, that sort of shit. I'm still going to be working on them. Sorry guys, who I'm playing with there, if you're watching this. I'm still going to be working on them Saturday morning probably. But anyway, I just wanted to bring something up here now. This whole Canada versus USA thing, and it first started to culminate with me when I lost a couple of subscribers, and one of them, I have my comments, of course, held for review because I only want people to see the awesome ones. I don't want people to have to look at the crappy ones or people tell me I suck, right? Um, so anyway, I noticed I'd lost very slowly a few subscribers. And that happens and everything. You're not everybody's cup of tea. Maybe the content is not what, people move on and find different things and they only want to have so much social media to look at. But I did get a comment and it was squirreled away and I didn't notice it until Sunday morning, and it was just a guy explaining he's going to support American right now. And that's cool. That's his right. That's his freedom. And that's what being in a free society means. I remember a quote that I heard a couple of years ago, and it said that freedom can only work when nobody owns it. And it may not be a profound quote, but it still makes a lot of sense, right? And that's how freedom should be. But going into the whole musician thing, what was coming to my mind was like, what's it going to mean? What's the impact, on the music industry as such, especially for small people, the independent bands that would dip across, from Canada into the U.S. and do some shows like in New York or, border towns, or travel even a little bit further outside of that and go through the USA, or, even bigger bands that were going across and tour in America because they could stay on the road a little bit longer. And I don't think it's going to impact American bands because that's the thing about America's sheer size. Even though Canada geographically is bigger, you guys have more people in more areas. And therefore more areas, more towns lead to more venues, so you can drive in your shitty little van that smells like socks and farts and gig away, without even coming in, without even Canada coming into play. In Canada, I would imagine we look at America as, your eye on the prize. There's a lot of countries probably would. America is the spot. I mean, for me, America was always like having the older sibling with the bigger record collection. We got like a lot of our music, some of the stuff that I idolized growing up, like Van Halen, Kiss, the Eagles, Foreigner, guitar players like Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, what Randy Rhoads. Couldn't get that name figured out for a minute. Randy Rhoads, even though Eddie Van Halen wasn't originally from America, Van Halen were America's band for a long time, and that's where he did his whole career. So for us as musicians, what does it mean in that term? Not so much me, because I live on an island and it would take a great amount of expense to get across and tour anywhere in the U.S. Um, it's a great deal of expense for any of us to get across the island this day and age, let alone another country, right? What's it going to mean for those poor, smaller bands and stuff that don't have labels backing them up, that don't have promotional companies, don't have sponsorship, that are, DIY and used to hopping in the van, hauling up the passport, playing a night in Buffalo, and heading back over the border again to Ontario. And what's it going to do in terms of pricing on our gear that we're using? Um, Guitars, we've already seen, especially here in Canada, like a huge jump in prices in Gibsons and Fenders. So like now we've got this going on with tariffs and things like that. Like how much more are we going to be paying for Fender USA, Gibson USA, Paul Reed Smiths? Those are the bigger, Gretsch, the big boys on the block, really. And then you got your fancy pointy guitars and all those things. Like where's it going to come through? Amplifiers and things like that. I mean, Marshalls tend to be a European-made amp anyway, I do believe. But are we going to be paying so much money? The smaller luthiers, the Lucky Dogs in Tennessee, like what's it going to mean for them in terms of supplies and getting their product out? I mean, premium companies, premium boutique companies that make really great guitars. I've never played one, but I see enough of them and I watch all their videos, and like I'm a huge fan, and I wish one day I could win a lottery and afford to buy one of those. The same thing with Mike O'Reilly here in Newfoundland, who makes great instruments, high quality, Comes with a bigger price tag than your average Mexican Strats and Tellies, but you get what you pay for when you're buying these guitars. But what's it going to mean for them now? Is it gonna be the kiss of death that puts them out of business, or is it going to be the thing that makes them even more obtainable for us? You know, everything from guitar picks. If Dunlop aren't shipping across the border, how the fuck am I? How are we going to do these things? It leaves a lot like in just our little circle, buying them. It's not like going to the grocery store for us and saying, well, I'm not going to buy American made ketchup. I'm going to buy, you know, Canadian made ketchup. It's not that simple for us in a lot of ways. I mean, I know you got those the gear cops on the music pages that'll say, well, now you can buy your Godins if that's how you pronounce it, and your Prestiges and all these things. And yes, we still have the option to buy, Japanese Fenders, which are sought after guitars, and Mexican Fenders, and boycott that whole thing. But you're not doing, unless you're buying Epiphones or Gibsons, you're not doing that with Gibson, are you? Or Paul Reed Smith, unless you're buying the SE series. You're still supporting American, so think about that. It's not as cut and dry, is it? Are you going to give away your American-made guitars? Are you going to mulch, throw it in one of those mulchers, your 59 Les Paul, or your Les Paul Custom? Are you going to take your, McCarty Model PRS and burn it? You're going to take your custom shop Strat that you threw $5,000 into or more and boycott it? No, I don't think so. We're a finicky bunch, us musicians. And unless you're Ted Nugent, we tend to stick together, and that's something that both countries need to do. Really, the citizens of both, because we've got millionaires and billionaires dictating us what we should and shouldn't do, and that's not really. I don't know if it's really conducive to society to have these people there. You need to have Joe, who struggled to pay an electric bill, trying to do a budget, right? Do you think Donald Trump or Elon Musk or even Mike Carney or Pierre Polyev, fuck, Pierre Polyev, he sounds like a fucking French Popeye. But anyway, do you think these guys are struggling to pay the light bill, pay their heat, pay their grocery bill? Do you think they're putting envelopes on the table every month and going, okay, this company is calling us a little more aggressively than this company looking for the money, so we're going to pay this bill this month. These are the bills we can pay this month. These are the ones we can put off this month because I paid them last month. They've never had to do that. We've had to do that, and you also got to watch where you're getting your news sources. I fell into that trap this morning, or was it yesterday morning, reading about Joe Rogan, and it said how he'd rather go to Russia as opposed to come to Canada. Apparently, he probably wouldn't go to Russia either. He's not a big traveler anymore. He likes to stick at home, and that's fine. That's his right. Once again, that's freedom. Because he's not coming to Montreal, and he didn't go to Toronto, and he doesn't just go to Canada. But he did say, the way it was worded and set up was like Joe Rogan hates Canada, basically. But he did say that, we had polite people here, and we shouldn't become the 51st state, and blah, 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 all that crazy shit, But I was ready to say, fuck, I hate Joe Rogan now. And he was always my favorite character on news radio, But I just wanted to pick everybody's brain and see, what they're doing in regards to all of this, and what contingency they're going to make when everything just goes to hell. It's already pretty much gone there, but it still has further to go, believe it or not. You might think this is just a tip. So far, the politicians just have the tip in there, and they're just, right? Eventually, they're going to go for full penetration. So let's just hope they spit on it first.